Hello, welcome to the Sharpest College Football Podcast, brought to you by LeanTossup Sports. I am BuckMetrics. I am joined, as always, by Robert Martin. Robert, as we are looking forward to Week 10, I want to pass along a little story. So I was talking with somebody earlier this week, and he said, man, there's some really good games coming up this week, and I'm so excited. And because I'm such a nerd, my first thought was, yeah, I can't wait for Utah State to play San Diego State because that line is way off. I didn't even think about LSU, Alabama, Bedlam, or anything like that.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, right? It's like there was something with it's not kind of related, but there are some people who were like, oh, like what do you have for an NFL game? Like, what do you have for your line for this game? And I'm like, why are you so excited to bet for this game? There's like so much better value on literally any other game. And that's the thing, right? Like for us, we love a lot of this stuff, right? But at the same time, it's like we just think differently, right? Like some people are like, oh my, I can't wait to see this game. It's gonna look so awesome. Like, yeah, but there's so much value on this other game right here that you can just bet.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're off, like we have like 20 points of value on this one other game here. Like we've got this like 11-point dog here, and we like so much stuff. So yeah, we're just built differently, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, to bring in horse racing for a second, this Saturday is the Breeders' Cup, but and I'm going to bet a little bit, but much as I like the Breeders' Cup, I like much more to bet on a Thursday on Aqueduct, just to get those soft lines or soft edges, if you will. So, All right, let's dig into my metrics here. Who has the best strength of record? So this is kind of what the committee should be using if they were doing what they said. When Robert pushed out our rankings, he actually used my power ratings, which is a little different rather than the strength of record. So here's what I've got for my top 20 for strength of record. Everybody's kind of agreement on Ohio State. Interesting. James Madison not eligible to be voted in. I'm not punishing Oklahoma so much for that loss. Kansas is a good team. I don't think Kansas is in the top 20 here, but they're not too far out of it. Liberty not being ranked, not a surprise because those people that make these decisions miss stuff like that. Georgia, I still have as 12th, and I feel strongly about this. Just the resume isn't there. Even though they say that they look at each season discreetly, I don't believe they do. Georgia hasn't done enough to be a top 4 team. Great that you're undefeated, but the quality of wins are not there. Kansas State sneaks into the top 20 here at number 16. Louisville, this is interesting. I actually have them a little lower than the College Football Playoff Committee. In Iowa, not ranked. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they very clearly overvalue beating Notre Dame. I think that's why they're there. I think it is interesting that Washington is outside of the top 4. Now, to be fair, they did only beat Oregon and then look kind of bad the last couple of weeks, so maybe that has something to do with it. But again, they have Florida State 4, Michigan 3, Georgia 2. It's weird. Like, yeah, you make the point that they say it's. They say that they say that they look at each individually. They very clearly do not. That is very clearly not how they do this. But at the same time, it feels so weird to have Ohio State 1 when this is like the least dominant Ohio State team we've seen. It's so weird, right? Because we saw Ohio State last year go down to Michigan, and we thought they were like the best team, and they've just not. Now they've won every game. They're still undefeated. But they have just not won nearly as many games. And now, okay, yes, they've played against Notre Dame, and they've played against Wisconsin, which is, not great, but not bad. And they've played against Penn State. So those are probably the best wins, period. Mm-hmm. But it feels so weird that the year that Ohio State hasn't been crushing teams by 40 is finally the year they're number 1, right? It's weird, right?
I would say the fact that they have 2 of those basically probably speaks to why they're not. It's a much harder schedule than I think pretty much anybody else has had. That's really a contender too.
Well, so what's Georgia's best win? Like what, Kentucky or Florida
Yeah.
or both?
Yeah, it depends on whose numbers you're looking at, but yeah, it's far outside the top 20. I can tell you that comfortably.
Yeah, that's true. It's just such a weird, such a weird year for this. But yeah, I mean, so far at least, right? I think this starts to clear up because Ohio State has to play Michigan at the end of the year, right? They play each other at the end of the year, so that clears that up. So basically, I mean, usually the way I look at that is if two teams ahead of you play, you're basically one spot higher. So Washington is functionally fourth then. And then it's interesting that they have some of them are interesting. So they don't rank Liberty at all, right? No. There's no
They
ranking
haven't,
for Liberty. Yeah. And then nothing for James Madison. It's weird.
They can't.
I
actually read that they can't because they're not eligible.
Yeah, which is very sad for James Madison. But next year they will be eligible. But it's just like with Liberty, like this is the thing, right? Our metrics love Liberty, and for good reason. But they don't see that, right? Apparently they don't watch football in the middle of the week. I guess maybe they're watching Dancing with the Stars or something. I don't know. But they don't watch the midweek action like us. So it's just it's very weird how they justify. Like again, Air Force 25. There's no reason Air Force should be 25. Like Georgia probably shouldn't be too, but again, it's an undefeated SEC team that is currently undefeated, so you have to put them somewhere, right? You can't just be like, yeah, now we're not going to rank them. Utah, again, like Oklahoma, like it's such a weird mixed bag of things that I think they're kind of really boxed in with sometimes how they do it, and I think at the same time they kind of have to appease the like ESPN and stuff, so they can't just be like, yeah, we're going to put Liberty like 10th or something. Like you can't really do that, right? So I trust our rankings better. I preferred it better when computers were doing some of this rather than humans. But luckily enough, though, usually they get the top 4 mostly correct, and then the exception being, of course, then like when it's a 12 team, I'll feel a lot more I'll feel a lot more confident that they get it right. But until then, we'll see.
Yeah, interesting. I've got Oregon like 23rd in this metric too. Oregon has had some sneaky, not so tough games. They played Stanford. I've got Utah as the 10th best team in the conference, so they really get metrically they're not getting a lot of credit for that. The metrics don't understand how tough it is to win at Rice-Eccles. So if you take Utah away, just kind of think what's Oregon's best win. Their biggest quality win, Colorado? ? I don't know.
Colorado or Utah, I guess.
Yeah, here's what's interesting. In my bottom 4 in the Pac-12, Colorado, Utah, Arizona State, and Stanford, and Oregon's played 3 of them. And they lost to Washington. I mean, they played them tough, but when you're talking about one loss, I think that's the real dichotomy here is, they played at such a high level in that Washington game. Especially like I said, right afterwards, if you take out just the 4th down play and the subsequent possessions, they actually outplayed. They should have beat Washington by 4 points from an expected margin basis. Yeah, this is interesting. I guess Texas Tech. That was kind of by the hair of their teeth. Let me see where I have Texas Tech. Yeah, so I've got them like 7th in the Big 12. So yeah, that's what's interesting. So what I said in part 1 about how it sets up nicely for them, it's nicely, but maybe that could be a little more fraught than what people think right now. Now, having said that, I have them as clearly as the best team in the Pac-12. So there's interesting cases on both sides. I don't know, but I don't think it's a foregone. And the thing is, they can't lose another game. They just can't. Especially, you've got Oregon State has 2 losses. USC has 1. You lose to one of those guys, and you're going to be, I think, on the outside looking in, because they played those bottom teams and beaten them. Interesting. All right, and Toledo, I don't know how that happened, but good for them. They won us money earlier this week. We'll get to that in a moment. So my power ratings, not by strength of schedule, more predictive. So there's Oregon number 3, in line with what your model has them at 4. We both have Michigan number 1. I don't know what you told your model just to poop on Ohio State, but at number 10, come on, guy.
I think it's just it doesn't like it on offense. I don't know why. It just, but I think it was higher last week. But I think it's weird because it was higher, and then it didn't like them to cover against Wisconsin, which is one I didn't bet. But then they didn't cover against Wisconsin. The model's like, yeah, okay, actually they're bad. Like it's like, okay, that's like they're worse now. Like that happens sometimes. To be fair, that's how the model is designed. But yeah, the model is kind of not particularly happy with Ohio State right now. So.
Here's the other thing too, and this goes back to the deeper dive I did last week. I know that you're taking actuals for like your quarterback performance. Are those adjusted for strength of schedule?
No, they are not.
That's going to be the difference, or that's going to be a big difference, because remember, I had said in those last 4 games, McCord has played on average, an elite passing defense, and for the season, McCarthy's played literally, his opponents have exactly a defensive apex of 100. So I think that's probably the difference. And interesting, it's, I've got them at basically tied. So I'd imagine if you were looking for more off-season homework, maybe kind of incorporating the strength of opponent when we're coming up with those quarterback performances, just to kind of, for projection standpoint.
Yeah, I might look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. Other teams, SMU jumps into the top 20 at number 14. I have a deeper dive on them later. And then Oregon State, interestingly, jumps in to the top 20 off a loss at Arizona. I think that's given the venue, and Oregon State actually played them tough. And as I talked about in part 1, Arizona is actually sneakily pretty good. They gave USC fits. They played Washington within a touchdown. So I can see transitively how that could push Oregon State up after a decent loss, although it wasn't as close as the final margin indicated. Anything else on this?
Yeah, I just quickly, I think it's both kind of interesting that we both have Washington the 6th. Both our models have that 6th, so that's kind of fun. And then I think it's cool that we both have Georgia outside of the top 4. We're both like, they're just not good this year. And then also at the same time, we have we're both very high on Liberty. We both think Liberty is a top 10 team. It's also funny we both have completely diametric opposed views on Ohio State and Florida State. At least we're both 210s there. And then, that's kind of cool. And then, my model seems to hate Notre Dame for some reason. I'm not completely sure why. But yeah, I think mostly our models kind of align on a lot of things, and I think that's really cool. And it's really interesting to see where we differ from the CFP, and I think in many ways I prefer our rankings a lot more to the CFP. I think ours are better than the CFP in many ways, and this is one of the reasons why we created it, right? And we put that post out on Twitter, and we're going to be doing that a lot more often now. I'm going to try to figure out a way to make the graphics look a little better on that, and we're getting that out weekly, and then we'll be doing that through next week. It's because people assume that those are the best rankings, and they're definitely not. There are many reasons why those rankings are bad and should be viewed as bad, right? So this is, and I said, it's our counter program to them. It's you know what? I'm sorry, if you don't even rank Liberty in the top 20, you don't deserve to be considered the top rankings here. Liberty is better than half of the teams in the I'd take Liberty if you give me and ask the bookmakers, right? What are you giving Liberty against some of these teams? What are you giving Liberty versus Ole Miss? What are you giving Liberty versus Washington, against Air Force, against half these teams? If you're giving me Liberty plus 14.5, I'm taking that any day, right? And this is what the bookmakers know. What the bookmakers are, you're not getting that line against Liberty. It's going to be if it's Oklahoma versus Liberty, it's going to be Oklahoma minus 6.5, 7.5, right? It's going to be a short line there. They know that, but this is what happens when you stick a bunch of people who kind of know college football and stick them in a room. On an argument, you should probably just have the top bookmakers and odds makers just in a room and be this is actually your top 4. Done. There you go.
Well, we should be in there too. And just go back to to part one, the people who are making these decisions, I'd kind of like to go back, and I'm kind of ashamed of myself. I'll tell you what, you gave me a great idea for a deeper dive. I'm going to, I've got the deeper dive for next week already in mind now. That's going to be a really, really good one. Unless it doesn't prove out to prove the point that I want to, in which case I'll go to plan B.
Just never talk about it again.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, I've done that already with Oklahoma State. I was ready to just, skewer them, and then they turned their season around. Shout out to my guy Biscuit, who was asking, are you still going to do that? Nope. No more. And to honor Michigan and be number one, I've got a picture of them with shady guy here in the circle, Connor Stallions. So
I don't understand what his job was. Why were they like, this is fine? Like, if you were in this program, if you're involved in this program anyway, and you're like, what's that guy do? It's like, nothing. Like,
yeah.
What did they like? Okay, he's an assistant. Insisted of what? It's nothing. Just
yeah.
Like, I don't know. Whatever. And the thing is, you can't make the argument that they didn't know. Like, could you imagine if you're Jim Harbaugh and you're like, oh man, he's really good at figuring out what the other team's gonna call. It's crazy. As if he's like cheating. Like, and the thing is, that flows down to the entire team, right? Like, people know. Like, if you're on the defense, you're like, man, we just were really good at figuring out what they were gonna call. If you're on offense, you're like, man, they were really good at figuring out if that guy was in zone or man cover. Like, people will know. And some of those people are in, like, if you're in the NFL. I mean, I was actually just thinking the other day, like, Aiden Hutchinson, right? I mean, obviously he's actually a really good player in the NFL. That's fine. I guarantee you talk to him, he might have some words. Like, he doesn't owe Harbaugh anything. These people, like, they're in the NFL now. They can be like, yeah, we were cheating. Like, you've secured a massive NFL contract. Doesn't matter if, like, some coaches were telling you what the other team was about to call, right? This is going to come out, and this probably ends with Harbaugh no longer being the coach of Michigan, but the NCAA moves painfully slowly, so this may not happen for like 3 years or some insane amount of time, but whatever.
Oh my God.
I just think you're Michigan, Ohio State this year. This is going to be an Ohio State revenge game, so watch out for that.
Cannot disagree with that. My top 20 offenses, the thing that really sticks out to me here, first of all, is just how far ahead LSU is above everybody else. I mean, a touchdown better. Like I said last week, they're tracking ahead of that 2019 LSU offense, and things will kind of converge towards, the average as we go farther along. But, man, they are so far ahead. And it's just, they lost those 2 games early-ish, and I think that just got them completely under the radar. And I don't think people appreciate just how dominant their offense is because of that. And going back into part one, look who snuck in at number 20 here, Georgia Tech. Now, clearly North Carolina did him some favors, but that's not one game that brought him there. It's interesting. Their offensive coordinator is named Buster. I don't remember his last name. Their quarterback is Haynes King, who, when we last saw him, was murdering the A&M offense. So good for them. And way to take advantage of the handouts that North Carolina gave them with, obliging 600 yards of offense.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's fascinating to see LSU here, and you have to ask yourself, again, like, if this was a 12, again, it's unfortunate this is next year, but if this was a 12-team college football playoff, LSU would be the team that we'd be getting at something like 12-1, and I would be like,
yep.
Like, I'd be and the thing is, there's theoretically a chance if they were to upset Bama and then upset Georgia and then just mass chaos happened, there's a theoretical chance they could still be in, but that would probably revolve, well,
I don't think it would take mass chaos. It's just
not that much chaos.
It's the SEC champion. They're going to get a lot more push than they deserve.
Because what would that be? That would be what? Let's say Ohio. Let's simplify it in some ways. Let's say Ohio State wins out. Let's say FSU wins out. Let's say Oregon wins out. And let's just say some stuff happens in the Big 12. Oklahoma takes another loss somewhere. Texas takes another loss or two somewhere. Well, actually, yeah. Like if Texas and Oklahoma were to lose this weekend to Kansas State and then Oklahoma State, and LSU were to beat Bama, yeah, there's a path. There's probably a path there.
Yeah, let me see here. Where is LSU ranked? Yes, I don't remember the college football. They're not in my top 20 here because their defense is such an Alex Grinch kind of thing. Where are they ranked? Because I just kind of wonder if there we go. If they went out and even just say most aggressive case, LSU 14, interesting. Could they leapfrog a Texas or Oklahoma team that wins out by beating Alabama, Georgia, and taking the SEC? I think I'll put it this way. I wouldn't rule it out. I would not rule that out.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you're ESPN and you have the SEC license next year and you also have the CFP, are you really like? And the thing is, to be fair, they would have beaten Bama. They would have beaten. Well, they'd lost to Missouri. They would have lost to Florida State, two teams that are probably some of the top teams in the country. They would have beaten likely Georgia or even back to Missouri again. Don't rule out Missouri. Missouri's pretty good there. Sorry. Oh no, LSU lost to Ole Miss. They beat Missouri. That's right. LSU beat Missouri. They lost to Ole Miss. So you lost to an Ole Miss team that's actually still pretty good as well. Like, are you really going to not include the SEC champion and throw in? I think if it's a one-loss Oklahoma or one-loss Texas, I think they get in ahead of them. But I think it's a very controversial. It's going to be like
it's a long discussion. I'll put it that way. It's a very long discussion.
But like that would be the discussion. It'd be like one-loss Big 12 champion, two-loss SEC champion. There's going to be a lot of talk about strength of schedule and the fact that. Because, again, they're going to say, well, no, actually, you know what? They would put LSU in because they're going to say they scheduled Florida State. You didn't schedule Florida State. You scheduled – I don't even know what it – Rice? Texas scheduled Rice?
Texas got Alabama. This is where it could hurt Oklahoma because Oklahoma – I don't know if you know this. Oklahoma actually had a game scheduled with Georgia this year. And it got canceled because they couldn't play both sides of it, if that makes sense, with the move to the SEC. So then they had some crummy makeup game, and it would be, I don't know, if you're an Oklahoma fan, it would be a shame to lose your lose your playoff spot because of that. Although I'm sure everybody else in the Big 12 would be delighted just to say, "Yep, you left us, and here's the collateral damage."
Yeah,
too bad, but not too bad. Speaking of Oklahoma, it's funny too. I heard, I forget who it was. And at some point you're going to ask me why you listen to these people. And maybe it's because I like to make myself angry. So some podcast was saying, well, Oklahoma, we saw the warning signs last week, before they lost to Kansas. Well, yeah. If you don't know that UCF's offense is actually good and Kansas State is actually top 10, you probably think that. No, they just played two good offenses in a row. Now, they didn't play great, but guess what? Nobody plays great against these offenses. I don't know. Okay. End of sermon about that. I'm sure I'll come back to dopey podcasts later. Top defenses, I still have sad James Franklin as number one. Nothing really new here except for Jacksonville State actually bumping into the top 20. I've had them as a great run defense for a while, but overall they're into the top 20 now. And Texas A&M sneaks in at number 17. Texas A&M and Ole Miss, one of those games that normal people are delighted to see, and I just didn't even think about because Utah State is giving only 2.5 to San Diego State. So not a lot here. Glad to see Jacksonville State sneak in there and get some LeanTossup recognition for their defensive efforts. Anything strike you as interesting on this one?
Can't believe Penn State's still there after whatever that was against Indiana.
Yeah, they used up some of their lead. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that lead has gotten a lot shorter, so Ohio State can catch them now. But, yeah, no, this is mostly what I expect. James Madison, again, Oregon, actually a very good defense there. Iowa as well. Notre Dame. Bama, yeah. Overall, roughly what I expect, yeah.
Okay. My group of 5 top 10. Nothing really crazy here. We've talked about for a while how good Liberty is. James Madison, so on. SMU up to number 3. No new names in here, although I think we will have a new name, seeing as how poorly Northern Illinois played for about 2.5 quarters yesterday at Central Michigan. I can't imagine that they will stay in the top 10 after that crappy showing. So nothing new here. Not really a lot of movement. Anything strike your fancy on this one?
I will say though that and to be fair, I didn't really see this the first time, and actually Akron just took the lead now. But so what happens is actually I have Akron minus. Oh, I have Akron -4, so it'd be a push. It'd be a push if they get they're up 3 now, so if they get the extra point, it'd be a push. But no, with a lot of people on Twitter have been making the graphics about, this is how the 12-team college football playoff would look if it worked this year, right? And I didn't really pay attention to who was the highest ranked because I didn't really look at who was the highest ranked non-G5, non-Power 5 team, and it's Tulane. So now the graphics, and this is not a shot at them per se. This is more of a shot at the selection committee. They're saying, they're saying Tulane's the highest ranked, so therefore we're going to pencil in Tulane to be going into the 12-team college football playoff. Which that's fine. That's correct. That's arguably what you should do. But it's funny that we have Tulane the 7th best group of 5 team, and they're the number 1 best based on the college football playoff committee. We've got like one that's ineligible, and then another 6 ahead of them. So. It's pretty crazy that's what we're at, right? So,
Two things or 3 things on that. First of all, I don't even have them as the best team in the American right now. Number 2, none of that really surprises me because I think the committee's super lazy when it comes to the G5 teams, which brings me to number 3. They really need to do a supplemental top 5 of the G5. You know how much interest that would raise for G5 football if you had like a top 5 or a top 8? It would, if I'm a G5 program, I am like demanding that. That would drive up so much more interest in G5 football. If you're like number 8, like right now, if you're not one of those teams that's ranked, it's like, okay, I guess maybe I'm close. I don't know. I mean, like SMU is not in the, they're not ranked, right? Did you do you know how far you are from being ranked? It's really lazy and stupid, but that's college football is lazy and stupid when it comes to this stuff.
There's kind of 2 things on that. Because one, there is no way that they know enough to be able to do that. There is a 0% chance, right? So...
that changes when you and I co-chair the thing, but until then...
I mean, we should be, to be fair. The top 5 ranking would be really different. They'd be like, should we put Georgia 2? Be like, no. Should we put Georgia in the top 5? No. Where would you have? 7th? Like, they just, their heads explode. Like, we can't have the SEC leader of the SEC in 7th. Like, yeah, we can. They suck. But this is the thing, right? There's no way that they follow those games closely enough. And again, these rankings should be using advanced metrics. I don't know. They use advanced metrics probably like ESPN FPI or whatever, like Football Power Index or whatever. Like they don't use advanced metrics. And the thing is, the way this ends is this ends with the G5 breaking off and making their own playoff. Like at a certain point. Oh, I love that too, 100%. You give me like a 12 or 16 team G5 playoff instead of going to random bowl games. Hell yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do that. Let's do that like now. But they're not going to stop that. They're like, we have to do it 4 years in the future because of hotel room bookings. Like, no, they'll be like, we're doing it now. But no, this is the thing. It's when you look at this, like, now obviously we're forecasting into next year. Okay, you're going to get a conference champion or 2 potentially. Probably just the 1, depending on how that works, because it's going to be the top 6. So now the Pac-12 kind of won't exist, so you're going to have just kind of 2. But at a certain point, they're just going to be like there's no guarantee they're even going to pick the best 2 conference champions of that. It's going to be the ones they subjectively think are the best. And it's going to basically it's going to give them a chance to play at it, but then you're going to see eventually. Now, I don't think all of them are going to be this way. But you're going to get 2 G5 champions in there. They're probably going to be 20-ish point dogs to whoever they're playing. They're probably going to get crushed, depending on the year. And then there's going to eventually be if there is a breakaway from college football, which we suspect is coming very soon, right? Like if you see the top teams from the ACC move to the Big Ten to the SEC, then we're probably within a decade away from there being a break off of like a super conference. We're like within the decade, I think we're going to see that. And at that point, there is no reason why you don't just throw all of the remainder of the Power Five, all the G5 together into one thing and say we're doing our own playoff. Because there's literally no reason to not do that. There is no reason. There is nothing but a benefit to that for you guys, for your students, for ratings too, right? I mean, you could package the rights off to that instead of competing. Like, if you want to say, cool, Saturdays for the big boys, then we take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Like, there's so many options you have, and I think it's gonna be far better games, far more exciting for us as fans. I'd love that. And I think we're heading that way. We're slowly walking towards that way. And I think, but it's these rankings are absolute BS. Like we have the team that they say is the best G5 team. We have them as the 7th best G5 team. Like there's a problem when that happens.
Yeah, but they don't look at prior year when they're doing those evaluations.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
does not matter that Tulane beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. That does not factor into this in any way.
No way. No. All right. No new names on the top 10 quarterbacks. The only thing that really sticks out to me is Jaden Daniels is just, so far ahead of everybody else. And again, Jalen Milroe stays at number 3. But nothing else really new here.
Yeah, no, I think that's again, Jaden Daniels is fun. He's not really talked about a lot as like an NFL talent. The other ones are. They're really high on McCarthy for the NFL, but Jaden Daniels, they're kind of lower on him. They're projecting him as like a 2nd round pick. So, but still, though, very interesting. So,
it kind of funny now, like when he said he was transferring. I remember seeing footage from Arizona State's like team meeting room, and they went to his locker and took off his nameplate, and they were saying, "Yeah, he sucks anyways." Okay, well, I hope you're enjoying Drew Pine and one of the Borghese. This was interesting. Finally going into the top 10, and this kind of lines up with my points about last week about Kyle McCord really stepping up. Marvin Harrison Jr. into the top 10 of player Ryan. Really the only really move here that this guy with the name I can't pronounce at UTEP, good for him. Back in the top 10, working the Cade McConnell magic. But I like when I've got 2 different data points kind of coalescing around one of my themes that I've made earlier. It tends to me look like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I agree with these. Like, and again, this is like with the exception of Marvin. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is finally moving up on there. That's showing that McCard's finally starting to get into rhythm there. And yeah, this is this with the exception of Keon Coleman, who's probably in there for the NFL as well. This is like a list of wide receivers who are going to be drafted in the 1st round of the NFL draft. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Team Ryan, interesting. Florida State just snuck in there. I forget. When we do it on Wednesday, it's like a dog years thing. I can't remember who they played Saturday. It was Wake Forest, right?
Yeah, it was Wake Forest.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think they just ran it up on them and ran into the top 10 here.
They're slowly starting to they're passing more, and they're into the easier part of their schedule now. They've gotten through Miami. I think there's nothing stopping them now. Like there's nothing. It's over now. Like they can just like stomp everybody. I think the last thing that's left on their schedule is Florida, I think.
Yeah. And weird stuff can happen in that one.
Yeah, I mean Florida is weird. Florida. They have to. Oh, that's right. Florida actually has to play Miami. They still have to play Miami. So they've got Pitt this week. So good luck to them. Then they've got Miami, and they've got North Alabama, and then they've got Florida. So they have Miami and Florida. So they have some stuff coming up. But the last couple of weeks they crushed Syracuse 41-3, Duke 38-20, and then Wake Forest 41-16. So that's a pretty easy way to get onto the top Ryan list there.
Yeah, that game against Pitt, that's fraught against Narduzzi's team that he says doesn't have any talent.
See, the thing is, the spread is like 21, And it's like a
Yep.
weird 21, like, it's the weird time when you look at a 21-point spread and you're like, this is a trap. Because it's like, okay, they lost by like 50. Um, but uh, it's like, at some point something's gonna happen. Like, it's like either Pitt wins this game outright or loses by 40, right? And it's like, I don't know which one it is. So you're like, you can't bet that one because it could go either way. So I'm probably just gonna stay away, but we'll see. I haven't decided if I'm gonna take that one or not. But if it's again one of those ones where like this could go either way, really. So
Yeah, I'm not looking for opportunities to gratuitously bet for or against Narduzzi because he's just so volatile. Other interesting thing here is the only two teams ahead of LSU in this metric face each other this weekend. I don't know if you know this. USC doesn't have a great defense either. There might be a few points scored in this one.
yeah, I think I mentioned to you. I don't think a USC game has gone under the total all year. They have to be like 8-0 to the over.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Like they have like every game has been like insanely high. Even the one against Arizona State was like every game
Oh no,
I think is gone.
that total was that ended up 48-24, and
Yeah,
I know the total was not 72 on that one.
this week it's 72. They may as well just set the total at 100 and be like, go for it, go nuts. Like
Yeah.
who would bet over? Like we dare you. Bet over, we dare you.
No. All right. Top GGAB. No real surprises in here. Only thing is Kansas sneaks into the top 10. Little, not surprising that they make the top 10. Just the only interesting thing about that is probably that they did it against what, had been a good Oklahoma defense until they just imploded in Lawrence. Going back to that for a second, boy, they had one possession where they had like back-to-back 15-yard penalties, and it's one of those things where you're thinking, man, it's a good thing that they can only give up 7 points on this possession here because they're kind of on schedule here. If it was based on style, they should have given up like it would. They should have put up like about 20 on the board for how bad the defense is playing on that possession.
Mm-hmm.
New Mexico stayed up to number 4 as well, which is nice to see. Liberty's still holding off Air Force, although I guess that makes sense since they run, triple option-ish stuff. I think Liberty's got a bye week that might allow Air Force to catch up on them, though. We'll see. Any notes on this one?
No, yeah, it's New Mexico State's fun there too, but yeah, no, this is mostly what I expect. Yeah.
All right. The bum list. Roaring in, to number 1 with a bullet from out of nowhere. A guy named Alex Flynn from East Carolina. East Carolina taking, as my dog's barking approval here, the number 1 spot in the bum list and on the worst of Ryan. Good for them. Yay. Proud of you guys. Well deserved. Keaton Slovis, number 8. This guy was all Pac-12 twice. I believe he was the offensive freshman of the year. Then he was the offensive player of the year. Now he's on the bum list. Sorry, can we blame that on the horrible Pitt offensive coordinator? Just
Maybe
residue from that horrible experience. And then Bryson Barnes, the guy that ended USC's dreams. He's number 9 on the bum list. And then going into the top 10 on your worst team, Ryan, Ball State. I've been talking for a while about how bad their offense is. So long time coming in this. Any comments on the bum lists?
no. I mean, I will just say that. Last night I watched that Buffalo game, and I mean, literally watching. They were down 3 to 4 scores against Toledo, and as they tried to march down the field to score, the passes, like the Toledo cornerbacks, safeties, D-backs, they had better chances to catch those balls than the Buffalo wide receivers. And like they didn't catch it. Somehow they weren't intercepted. I don't know, but like they were literally right to those D-backs. Like it was bad. I've never seen like, and it's like every once in a while you're like, oh, that was right to him, and it's like, but no, like literally every single one of them, the defensive players had better chances to catch them than the offensive players. And that's the sign of not great things happening. So, yeah.
And it's a great use of the bum list because there's no better feeling than like when you've got a good margin, against the spread, and the team you're against, their quarterback is on the bum list. It's such a great feeling. It's just like betting an under, an under season win totals against like a Southern Miss when you just know it's just going to fall apart here.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that's what was the other thing I was going to mention here? Daniel Richardson at number 7. He's actually played a lot better lately. In fairness to him, this is his first season. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays his way off. He's been really solid as of late. He just was. I think that they weren't planning on starting him, but when Casey Thompson got hurt, he got thrown into action. So use a little bit of caution if you want to fade them. FAU's been they've screwed up my metrics. There's a whole little triad here of FAU, UAB, and South Florida that have just completely just flummoxed my metrics.
Mm-hmm.
All right, top defensive apex. Wisconsin sneaks in at number 10. Good for them. They faced an Ohio State passing game that I'm high on. So impressive that they jumped in here. Number 6, Northern Illinois. I don't think that they're going to be there for too long after that, giving up 37 points to a really bad Central Michigan team. Otherwise, these all seem to make sense to me. Pretty Big Ten heavy too, it feels like. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the 10, are the Big Ten. No, 5. Rutgers. Forgot about them. Half the top 10 are from the Big Ten.
Yeah. No. The Big Ten is really defensive. It's going to be hilarious to see what happens when the UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington. Michael Penix obviously will be in the NFL, but whoever. It's the same style quarterback. They're going to have some guy who throws for 300 yards, and I was like, you could do that? You can throw for 300 yards in a game? That's crazy. I didn't know you could do that. It's so funny because one of the better Iowa draft picks from last year, Sam Laporta for the Lions. He's actually an amazing player. He's he's getting 50 yards a game as a tight end for the Lions, a touchdown pretty consistently. He's a huge part of their offense. He'd be like, oh my god, they can throw me the ball. This is great. They throw me the ball, I can catch it. It's not like the ball isn't underthrown. He's getting passes from Jared Goff. He's so excited. He's like, oh my god, this is great. But no, I can't this culture shock of USC versus Iowa is going to be insane. It's going to be this is. Yeah.
And not in a sunny Rose Bowl on January 1st.
No.
It'll be in a crappy weather Iowa stadium full of people happy that Brian Ferentz will no longer be there, at least.
Yes, he is no longer there now. Yes.
All right. Top run defenses here. SMU sneaks into number 9. Otherwise, Old Dominion. I'm still not sure what the heck's gone on here because they were supposed to be more of an offensively strong team, but I might look into that in future weeks and report back on what I found. SMU have got some stuff on that shortly. The rest of these all make sense. Jacksonville State's really been near the top since I started publishing these in week 2 or 3 or whenever it was.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we going from here? Okay, market intelligence. Well, if we're going to what I'm missing, I just missed I still don't know what I missed. Just Northern Illinois just planned on not playing for 2.5 quarters. Is that what I missed in that game?
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know what happened. I was at Northern Illinois here too. On they did not do anything for yeah, that was very weird. So yeah, that was a combined miss there. But yeah.
I mean,
again, Maction. Sometimes weird things happen in Maction.
Yeah, and it's snowing and cold, and there's 1,000 fans there. But once they kind of woke up, it was just you could see, they're clearly the better team here. They just didn't give a crap. I don't know. Nebraska giving only 3.5 at Rest in Peace Michigan State. Is that still the line? I can't imagine. Should have had this up.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Seems insanely. That seems really low.
I'm still Action Network still has it at 3.
Yeah, I've got 3. That can't be right. Let me see what I got here. Yeah, I've got 14.5. So we're gonna lay the points with Nebraska again. We did it last week, and I was so scared. But
wasn't there some? And I think Isaiah actually kind of tipped us off to this. Wasn't there some rumors about maybe some Nebraska injuries or sicknesses? Maybe that's still to be worked out. I mean, these are
there was apparently a lot of injuries on the Nebraska offensive line.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
But like, Jesus. At this point, this like, things are getting worse for this Michigan team. Like, okay, yeah, you were semi-competitive against Minnesota, but Minnesota's pretty bad too. So, like, I just think at a certain point, like, people are done. Like, they're not going bowling. Well, I think theoretically they could go bowling, but like at a certain point, they're just like, we're done here and packing it up. So I'll lay the points to Nebraska. Nebraska could become bowl eligible with this game, and the thing is, that's actually a pretty good. I think we actually had a really good feel for Nebraska early on. We said we were pretty pro. I said I was somewhat Matt Rule skeptical, but I'm like, I'm intrigued by it. Hopefully it works out well. You are more pro Matt Rule than me. We were both anti Jeff Sims. And it turns out that was the correct take. That once you got rid of Jeff Sims, things worked out pretty well. So that was a really good call from us early on. That was the Jeff Sims. We were like, it's July. We were like, Jeff Sims is the problem before he was even the problem. We were like, he's the problem before that even happened. So yeah, that was a great call from us.
Yeah. Agree. And I don't know if I have enough margin here to actually make this an official play, but I'll probably, if it's only 3, I mean, yeah, Michigan State just, to your point, I don't think they give a crap anymore for this season. The next one, I think this is Kansas State at Texas. I think that's down to 4 now. Does that sound about right? 4. Yep. This, I not to just run the same gag twice, but this feels a lot like Oklahoma at Kansas, where like the lower that line gets, the more I want to bet Kansas State. This is the line that stinks out loud. I think it's just that simple.
This is so clearly the trap, right? Same as last week, you saw it against Kansas, where like, this is a trap. Texas just destroyed BYU. Kansas State really Texas will beat them by a touchdown or 2? No, it's the trap, and you see it coming a mile away, and this is the trap. So yeah, Kansas State all the way. Let's cash that under 10.5, and then let's put down the sight lines the under 9.5.
Yeah, then you will only need the refs to come through on the Brett Yormark admonition about, hey, Texas Tech, you better beat Texas. Not that these refs want to keep their job or anything. I'd be a little concerned if I was Texas and I needed that win. I'll put it that way. I don't know how many flags we'll get that are friendly.
It's that one, and also Iowa State too. Don't forget they have to travel to Iowa State too. There's like 8-4 is possible here. Like that's like 9-5 is not, or 9 and yeah 9. No, not 9-5. 9-3. 9-3 is not a lock.
Yep. Yeah. Don't overlook Sark's ability to screw things up. This next one is interesting. We both have this as a play. Yeah. You actually have Jacksonville State winning straight up, right?
Yeah. You are now telling you're telling a bunch of kids that, hey, guess what? You went to Jacksonville State. Guess what? You're now an FBS school, and guess what? You now get a shot at an SEC team. Have fun. Go have some fun. And it's not that far. I'm assuming Jacksonville is it. Where is Jacksonville State? Because
it's in Alabama. It's not it's not near Jacksonville.
No, it's not the real Jacksonville. It's the other Jacksonville. But yeah, it's it's actually not that.
It's comments like that. Comments like that are going to get your Gamecocks beat here. Although they're both the Gamecocks.
Yes, it's weird, but no, give me the Jacksonville State here. I mean, this, first of all, I don't know, like South Carolina, okay, they covered the Texas A&M game for us last week. Probably shouldn't have, but also probably should have won that game. So, like you're telling me that I get 14 points against that South Carolina team. That's pretty bad. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm just doing the math.
14.5. I think it's up to 15 now, actually. Yeah, it's 15.5 now.
So yeah, no, it's moving the wrong way. He said, famous last words. So I actually have, this is really interesting. So you have this Jacksonville State 22 or 27, South Carolina 22. I have this
Mhm.
Jacksonville State 20, South Carolina 22. So we both have South Carolina with 22. I
Which
think
is a weird number.
what, yeah, well, what's interesting that I think is at play here is a little bit of this,
Yeah.
where you've got, did they sneak in up here too? Or am I just like forgetting things? Here we go.
Yeah, they're one of the top.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and you've got the South Carolina team is reeling, especially offensively, and it seems like one of those programs where like the vibe isn't great. I think they're just kind of salty on how the season's going.
Hmm.
I think I don't know if I was able to grab money line because some books don't offer money lines on that much of a price, but yeah, we both like this. I think we like it for the right reasons too. The next question is, what channel is that on? Hopefully that's not on like SEC Plus or something stupid like that.
I'll find that.
Let's see.
ESPNU.
It's on the U. Okay, well, I get it, but it's before the season, I said that South Carolina is like strangely very not compelling, except for like rare cases where there could be an upset. This could be like the one really interesting South Carolina game of the year.
Mhm.
I
Well, see,
don't
they'll
know.
lose. This is going to set this up perfectly. They're going to lose this game and then beat Clemson in 2 weeks. So
Yeah. Speaking of which, so Notre Dame's still giving only 3 at Clemson, and you know what? Your model. This is
I
where I just
know.
want to shake it by the neck and say, "Come on, dude, do better." I don't know. Explain your model in this one, pal.
So here's the thing. So I saw Notre Dame -3, and I was like, oh man, what is the model? Model's got to have like
Yeah.
-21, something crazy. Clemson -2.9. So I am scared away from this. I'm not touching this. That's enough to scare me straight. But yeah, I don't know. If Clemson somehow won this game and or covered the spread here, I would be completely shocked. It's so weird because this so much feels like this was the spread of this game in the beginning of the season. Like this was the early week 1, like August look ahead spread, and they just forgot to update it. That's what that looks like to me. But like that makes sense, right? If that makes a lot of sense. If this is a look ahead line, we just forgot to update it as the season progressed. But the fact that my model is saying that's correct, I'm not touching it. That's when my model when I think something and the model's like, nope, you're wrong. That's my cue to say, nope, not touching that game. That's fine, and it's at noon too, so that's fine. There's better things to mess around with at noon. I'll keep an eye on this. I might, if like Clemson takes a lead and Notre Dame, we can get like Notre Dame plus 3.5, 4, and something. I'll take that. But nope, the model has something there. There's some reason why the model's saying that. I don't know what that reason is, but there's a reason, and I'm not touching it for that reason.
Yeah, I've got Clemson I've got Clemson losing by 10 here. It's not enough margin for me to bet this on my own without confirmation from your model. When I look at this, so if it's a 46 and the total's 46, is it still 46? Don't know if that's how current that is.
45.
Yeah, okay, so 45, so that's 42. So that's projecting basically 24 to 21 Notre Dame. As I mentioned in part 1, Clemson sucks like at everything offense. It's not just like one shortcoming. They're not explosive in the run game. They're not explosive in the pass game. Their quarterback is really below average, really, really below average. And this is going to be the best pass defense he's faced. I've kind of sworn off this, but I might break my pledge here and look at Clemson. If that team total is 21, it's going to be hard for me to not bet Clemson under 21 team total.
I can tell you what the team total is right now. Oh, it's exactly 21.
Yeah,
Under 21 minus 105.
I just can't. Notre Dame's defense is really, really good. I mean, they're just one of those few elite, and they're in the top 8 or so. So I don't know. Interesting game. Yeah, doggone your model, because when Notre Dame wins by like 17, I'm going to lead off the next episode just by cursing you and your model. Arizona State at Utah. This is interesting. Arizona State, like I said in part 1, is like secretly feisty, even though they don't have a good quarterback. Utah is, I think, sneaky, almost garbage. Like I said, I have them 10th in the Pac-12 right now. I have them with literally the worst offense in the Pac-12 right now. I have this game as... Let me see if I find it on my spreadsheet here. Where is you? All right, so I have Utah by 6, and that's really by home field. You actually have Arizona winning this straight out, 26-17.
Yeah,
I'm really inclined to go with your model. Like I said, Arizona State's been troublesome for a while. They could sneakily give that bad Utah defense or offense a real hard time. I have Utah's offense ranked as a negative 6.2. Arizona State's defense is a plus 3.8. That spells out a tough time. The total of 42 makes sense here. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to bet this, but that I see this as definitely bettable if you want to play ASU, and I don't think you'll disagree based on your model. Fair?
Yeah, I've actually already taken Arizona State here. The thing is, it's just this like the position Arizona State's in right now, a team that has been definitely underlooked by the betting markets for several weeks here. Again, one against Washington, they were 27-point dogs. I can't remember what they were last week, but they won outright last week against. What were they last week? Let's see.
ASU?
Yeah.
I think they were like getting 10 or so. Does that sound right? Against Washington
State.
No,
that's right.
they
It
only
was
got
3.5. That's why I didn't touch it.
4.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah.
So that was the books telling you Arizona State was going to win that game. They were like, Washington State minus 4.5. They're like, yeah, okay. But this is the thing. It's literally like, I feel like they're still being underlooked by the betting market. Like they're overperforming the betting market. It's a team. People love betting on Utah because they think they're just amazing at everything, but they're not really good on offense. Arizona State's defense is good. This is a position on a team when you have a team like this, the team that's expected to be bad and starts figuring it out near the end of the season. I love that betting angle, and that's why I love this one specifically. So yeah, give me Arizona State here.
We agree. Okay, Army at Air Force. Air Force giving 18. I don't have this close at all. Now the thing that I've got. This is funny. I've got Air Force 30 points better. You've got a really good score here. You've got Army, I guess, scoring 2 safeties. Is that how you get 4 points?
Yeah, the lowest total I think I've seen all year. That's like that model is saying like half the time they get a touchdown, half the time they don't.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. I like Air Force here. The 19 looks like a bargain. The only thing that makes me a little hesitant is when these service academies play each other, sometimes they just really tend to be low scoring games in general because they understand the option better than any other opponent. And that's probably some of the variance between my number and the market. Having said that, I just think Air Force is on another level, so I'm still comfortable playing Air Force here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing is, it's only 18.5, right? That's 3 touchdowns, which, okay, yes, in a Service Academy game, that could take a while, but, like, not that long.
Yeah, and Air Force's defense is really solid. I think that kind of to that point, I think there will be a lot of Army 3-and-outs. Air Force is going to get the ball a lot. Um, more opportunities, and I'm going to be able to really talk myself into this. They're going to get a lot more opportunities than they do in a typical game. So yeah, as I think about it, I'm more comfortable on that one. Um, this next one, Louisiana giving 9 at Arkansas State. That just seems a little short to me, and maybe I'm irrationally high on Louisiana, although they really backed that up with that really nice win against South Alabama. I think Arkansas State is, there's a pulse now because of that new quarterback, but I think these teams are on totally different levels. That 9 seems short to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, I've got a big win there too. I got 25. So I don't know. I think Arkansas State's still pretty bad. I'd probably take Louisiana here.
Yeah, you've got this 51-27. I've actually got this not too far from the number. I guess I don't. Maybe this is something that the market and my numbers see that I don't get. But Louisiana's been good at several things. Running the ball. I don't know if he still is. I didn't check, but that Zion Chris, I had him as the top rated freshman quarterback for a while. Interesting. Here's another. I'll just kind of be just to kind of sneak ahead. I think this Oklahoma State is another line that stinks. It's like is this still at 6? Because the more this one goes
6.
down, if this moves down, I'm kind of thinking, okay, Oklahoma State might be the play here.
This is like 1,000% a trap line. It's even worse than the Kansas one.
And literally, I have this at 6-2. My numbers do, but just like Oklahoma and Kansas, I think I had that right on at the 9.5 or 10 that it opened, and just the more it goes away from that, the more. So, oops, maybe the fact that it hasn't moved, I don't know, shows me I'm a little off here.
Yeah, I've got Oklahoma State minus 1.5.
Do you really?
Yeah.
What score do you have there? I just want to log that here on my sheet. Do you are you there?
Oh yeah, no, I have Oklahoma State minus 1.5.
Yeah, what's the score actually?
Oh, okay. 30-29.
Okay.
Just decimals there, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're showing pretty close to the total too. So we agree on that. I really want to bet this one bad. Marshall at App State giving 4. Now we spent a good amount of time crapping on App State in part 1. We spent a lot of the last 3 weeks crapping on Marshall instead of how they're just a complete fraud. I actually have App State by 9 here. You've got them running away with this one, 38-14.
Yeah,
which
it's
is interesting. Yeah,
it's a battle of pick your poison, right? Like, which one do you hate most? Which of these do you think is worst?
Yeah, I might just play that later. Just might be one of those where I just kind of I've got a margin of 5, so it's not saying like, hey, don't play it. And since your model agrees, I'll probably grab that. That just two teams. Not that App State, honestly, they're headed in different directions, but App State is legitimately decent, just not as good as they usually are. Marshall is completely fraudulent, and I think, again, I just think the market is slow to pick up on just what a fraud Marshall is. I think that's kind of the takeaway from this one. Just another G5 bad line. Is that how we characterize that one?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. This next one, I'm not playing this, but I've actually got Iowa
plus 2.5 now.
So let me see. Iowa State's getting to.
They're giving 2.5 now.
Iowa State is?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I've got them by 4. And that, I think the interesting thing here is that really what I'm taking away is Iowa State's for real. Kansas has proven their bona fides, and great. You're a small favorite, but you're actually a favorite. Against a legitimate team here. As I spoke about in part 1, the gambling scandal kind of cleared the decks of all the some of the riffraff at Iowa State. So it's interesting that after Kansas comes off such a big win over a legitimate team, and now they're actually a dog.
Yeah, I'm not touching this one at all. But this is a preview for Iowa State versus Texas in a couple of weeks. The fact that Kansas goes into Oklahoma, beats them by like 10, goes to so Oklahoma visits Kansas, which, to be fair, Oklahoma and Kansas are actually pretty close to each other. To then the next week them traveling to Kansas and then being dogs. Iowa State's legit. They're actually kind of a little terrifying. So, yeah.
Yep. And then lastly, how I led off part 2. I don't understand what's going on here. And let me see. I'd be shocked if your model doesn't agree with me on this. This just doesn't make any sense at all. This is kind of a what am I missing moment here on Utah State. Yeah, you've got Utah State by 2 scores here, 31-17, and I've got them by 13. So we both agree here. Is this just a matter of, I don't know, people just don't want to give up on San Diego State? Are they still married to the impression that they have of them from a year and a half ago?
They do this sometimes with some of these teams. They do this. They're like, no, this team is good. And I think San Diego State is a weirdly public team. I think there's some people from San Diego who like to bet on them because they seem to be juiced on some of these lines. So, but yeah, I'll take. I like that one. I think -2.
I'm going to remember that one. The weirdly public team. That's a good characterization.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My deeper dive. So this was interesting. We've had SMU has just dominated in their last couple of games, and they've popped up on defense, and now they're in my top, my top 20. I forget if it was overall or strength of record. And I wanted to figure out what's going on here. Are they just really, really that good? And I dug in a little bit, and I'm not really going to have an awesome lesson learned here, although it's very instructive. So here's who they've played in their 4 conference games: Charlotte, ECU, Temple, and Tulsa. Now, the first thing that's interesting is if you look at my power rating for each of these teams, it's horrible. -17 is just unbelievably bad. What's even more, challenging, depending on how you're looking at it, these I actually have as the 4 worst teams by far in the American Conference. So you can see that, you've got this building up of their apex, over the last 4 games with just an absolute just massacring of Tulsa. Their offensive yard per plays is just, 9.4 is just insane. The defense has been solid throughout, and it just really got nasty, especially in that Temple game. So these numbers are just absolutely dominant in American play, except for this one here. The average opponent is a -16.8. That's basically saying you've played Tulsa 4 times. So for some context, I said, okay, well, what do we have outside of this to kind of, use as a comparison? So the other FBS teams that they've played, Louisiana Tech, Oklahoma, and TCU, in those 3 games, SMU's apex was only 69. 1.5 yards per play less. And that might not sound like a lot, but that equates to quite a bit of performance, maybe something to 10 to 14 or even more points over a game. And the same number, but going the opposite direction here. So you've got between offense and defense, maybe a swing of 20 points between these, maybe kind of decent in Louisiana Tech, very good in Oklahoma, and who knows, soup du jour, whatever kind of you're getting with TCU from week to week. But on average, it's a plus 4.4. So, you're seeing, and it's interesting. This kind of lines up. This delta here between what they're playing in these two groupings is about 21 points. And like I said, if this is like 10 points or so here, 10 points or so here, that's a 20-point swing as well. So I think we've kind of seen the absolute best in terms of performance from TCU. You look at the remaining opponents in conference and what their ratings are. This is not a murderer's row by any means. I mean, if you think that Rice is great, God bless you, and I hope you enjoy living in Houston because nobody else agrees with you. North Texas is a fun team. Memphis is okay at times, although they barely beat North Texas, and they've struggled. Navy just stinks. So they don't have a really rough road, but it's significantly tougher than these four conference teams that they've played. So I'm kind of left thinking that you're going to see some regression. I'm just not sure how much. It'll be interesting to see. Will they stay in my top 20? I don't know. Is there maybe an opportunity to fade them at some point? I don't know. Maybe Memphis is plucky enough to get them, or at least to cover. But I think you're going to see about the end of the, curb stomping and taking of names later that we've seen to this point in conference play. Just the remaining opponents are so much tougher, even though they're not great and they don't have the same power rating as SMU. But, because you see this a lot when you've got this huge step up in quality of opponent, even though they're not quote as good as you. Sometimes there can be a little culture shock, and you've had four just absolute just rollovers here. So I don't know. My takeaway is stay tuned, but stay tuned interestingly, not just like I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this team has been on fire the last week or two, but they're not the thing is the questions is again the teams are playing right, they've been on fire, but what happens when you're not playing East Carolina, Temple, Tulsa? What happens when you don't do that? And even East Carolina, when they coasted in that game, they went up a bit. They went up a large number, let East Carolina back in that game, and then they scored to cover the spread, which thank you for that. But outside of that, did not look particularly impressive. So, yeah, that's a little concerning for me. I will say that. So.
Yeah, and the other thing too, it illustrates one of the weaknesses of my model is that in these avalanche games where things just really get away or there's just a huge disparity, I try as much as possible to mathematically adjust for strength of opponent, but I think that that there's just a tendency when there's just a really horrible team playing a good team. The dam just kind of breaks, and it's almost a name your yardage kind of situation. And I think you lose a little bit of the predictive value here too. So I think that 12.1 power rating for SMU that I have might be a little bit too high as well, which maybe means the committee knows better than me.
Don't think so.
Okay. Thank you for picking me up on that.
Okay. Maybe just doing a brand new studio, which actually that's fine. Okay, we're just going to call this Week 10 Part 2. Okay. It might just be a completely different... Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Actually, okay, that's fine. Okay. That is more than fine. We can easily patch this together. We're good. Okay. Yeah. So how about we do that from now on then, when we're getting kind of close up to that barrier.
Yeah, and it's a good point here. Then let's if you can just take a little mental break and just see if there's anything you want to play.
Yeah. I could patch it together pretty easily. I have a couple small little plays. Okay. Go back to the Buck the Bookie thing. I cut from there.
All right. Just pick it up here.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That brings us to Buck the Bookie. If you're not familiar, take a screen grab of this. These are the rules. Once you've read that, go ahead and look at this beautiful grid I put together because I'm a CPA that loves to put together nice looking grids like this. This summarizes the quote action that Robert has at the quote book that I am versus the quote pretend action that he has with DraftKings. So this is futures only. Robert's got a lot of plays there. He's got 425 points left in his holster. So any bullets to fire this week?
Yeah. What would you give me on LSU and Missouri? Not like combined, but like what would you give me LSU to win the SEC and then Missouri to win the SEC?
In Missouri. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like the Missouri is a trick question. I will give you, actually, you know what? I will give you 18-1 on Missouri.
Ooh, DraftKings is 31, so I'm going to play 10 on that with DraftKings.
30-1.
10 make-believe
10 points.
10
Okay.
Bitcoin or...
Damn, I wanted your business on that one too. LSU, you've got it. You've got it plus 480.
Oh, okay. What would you give it to me for now?
All right, mentally. So LSU lost to Ole Miss, huh?
Yeah.
So they need to beat Alabama. They need Alabama to lose to somebody else as well. Yeah, because Alabama's only losses to Texas. So
and Bama's lost would be to Texas and them. Oh, but no, it'd be a weird three-way thing, and then it's probably going to be some sort of weird tiebreak.
You know what? I will give you. I want your business, and I like you, Robert. You've got a nice smile. I'll give you plus 900.
Ooh, okay, yeah. I'm getting plus 600 and things, so... okay, I actually really like plus 900. I'll give you... I'll do more than I was going to do. I'll put 40 on that. I was going to do 20, I'll put 40 on that instead, because I have 400 make-believe dollars, so I'll do 40 instead to make us a nice round 50 this week.
Okay. Done and done.
All right.
Thank you for your business, sir.
Yeah. Like, looking at those,
Oh,
I'm in such good shape. Like, some of these are in, like, really good shape. Like, Florida State to make college football playoff. Oregon Pac-12 champions. Air Force Mountain West champions. Ohio State Big Ten champions. Oregon to make the college football playoff. Some of these are... Penn State Big Ten champions is dead. But Texas isn't dead, so...
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Air Force, I don't know if you're going to... If you were going to ask me to quote that again today, I'd probably give you something about 140, 150 maybe. Does that seem about right?
Plus 140?
Yeah.
Okay. DraftKings is minus 120.
Oh my gosh.
I
was using that as an example of like what a good bet you have there.
Yeah, no, and that is a good bet. I'm not gonna double dip. I think I've got.
I'm gonna go FanDuel and just give you the spinny wheel and put you on hold for a little bit and then refuse your action, or just say I can give you like 2 points.
They've done that to me. FanDuel's done that to me sometimes.
Of course,
there was one.
That's their model.
There was one time I put in like I can't remember if it was. I think it was FanDuel. I put in like an SGP. And then they quoted me a price, and they said, "Oh, it doesn't work." And then I entered it in again, and it was a lower price, like seconds later.
Of course,
they're like, "Oh crap!"
No, it doesn't work at that price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Looking ahead, so we had a really good meet. It was mostly the model, the dual model plays. Pardon me. You went 1-3, I went 1-1, but the dual model plays. What is it? 6-1. Very nicely done.
All cleaned up. I had even forgotten how bad I did because I made so much last weekend. I was just like, oh wait, I went 1-3 because like I just bet every dual model play and just cleaned up. So that was And the thing is, I also, to be fair, I also bet UL University of Louisiana money line, so that just made up for the other ones too. This is just done.
Yeah, and the thing is too, when actually done on that, UCF was a loss, and that was never actually none of these were any close at all.
Yeah.
North Texas for a while was in danger of not covering, but they actually had the lead late. I think they had the lead with like a minute left, or even less than that.
Yeah.
Really wasn't, somehow I managed to go 0-4 in the morning just on some of my smaller stupid bets that were neither. But man, the afternoon and after that were just really nice.
Yeah.
And over 14% ROI on the season, even including just where your brain and my brain without models.
Mm-hmm.
You in the preseason called this update LSU over Alabama. You were a 3-point dog, which I think is, I don't know, before the season.
So 7.
Was it?
I have an LSU plus 7 from August.
Okay. Well, good job by you then. Wow. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Closing line
okay.
value.
Yeah.
The fact that it's like 3 now, and I think might even be lower than 3 in some books, is like, if you're a Bama fan, you should be a little scared.
Yeah. Having said that, also, if you are an LSU defensive secondary player, you should also be scared. I'll just put it that way. So, yeah, fear on all sides. So, our plays this week, we've discussed a lot of these. 2 of these are already done. The first 2 took place on Tuesday night. We split those. Some of these we talked about. We both like Duke. I took this even though I'm a little sketchy on the Riley Leonard situation.
He's clearly not 100%.
Yeah, and I guess in that situation, when you're doing the build up on his performance, is it his year to date numbers or is it okay? So that's interesting. So you've got a little more of the robust Riley Leonard, and you barely have them covering. Too late. If I've already played it, I've already played it. We talked a good amount about the junior Cox versus the senior Cox in Columbia. Yeah, I hate this next one. This is where, you have just a horrible team on the road against, top 20 team, and you're hoping that they cover 5 touchdowns. There's literally nothing to hang my hat on here, but it's above 11, and that's kind of not kind of that is my margin.
Who does Tennessee play next week? Missouri. Okay. If they play Georgia next week, I'd be all over that.
Okay. We talked about Army and Air Force. We both don't have that. We have that not close at all. We are on different sides in this next one. FAU at UAB have kind of gone back and forth. Yeah, like I said, we were talking about the bum list, how I think Daniel Richardson will probably play his way off. I didn't know that Jacob Zeno was out for UAB, so I think that there's a little bit of a depression in their numbers too. He's back, so I
wouldn't have him then.
Yeah,
if he didn't play the most snaps last game, then he's not in my model.
I don't know if he did or he didn't. I think UAB was actually off last week, so before that he wasn't in there. I don't know. It's the other thing is just how much I crapped on UAB in the preview. It's kind of tough to all of a sudden be backing them.
He did not talk about play, no.
Oh, okay, so that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
This next one is interesting. We both have Penn State at Maryland a lot closer than the market here. I did grab this at 11. I think it's down to 10 now. Does that sound right?
Let me check. 8.5.
Oh boy. Okay. I got a good number there.
Yeah, you did.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. It sounds like you didn't grab that one?
I haven't grabbed that yet. Now I kind of wish I had.
Might be
I'll
late.
think about that more. because that now screams. Now the fact that it's 8.5 screams to me like Maryland had a look-ahead game. They got caught looking ahead to Penn State, and maybe Penn State did too. But that seems really weird if they did because it was Indiana. So, but that's a very iffy scoreline for me. But I'll think of that. I'll think of that one. I think I'll put something on Maryland there.
Okay. Yeah, I got to say, I agree with your model on the next one more than I do. And this is, I've got Connecticut and I have Vanderbilt both. And I can't try to outsmart my model if I don't know anything that's not in there. I don't know how I have this as basically a pick 'em. You've got an awesome score in there. This is still one of your runaway LeanTossup specials where one team just avalanches the other here. Let me see if I can find your score. Yeah, 57-7. There you go. And I have it 24-24 basically.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a very different score.
It is, and if it's 11, I'm not going to try to outsmart my model, even though I just, it's just for reference, by the way. And this is a really good season for it. But when I have a variance of 11 or more between what I can get, or between the closing line actually, and my number, so far this season, 24-12, those plays are. And I'm not going to try to outsmart it and just, usually I wind up being on the wrong side of trying to outsmart things. So, yeah, hold my nose and root for Vandy in Connecticut. That's not the most fun part of this Saturday, I don't think.
Yeah.
You want to just take Auburn just to really just shove it in my face?
I mean, the thing is that 13, now I'm thinking that 13, I haven't taken this one yet, but that 13 smells awful fishy there.
It does, actually, yeah.
Like, that's like, we know something. Like, Auburn is not being pretty impressive. Although they did beat Mississippi State last week pretty impressively, so.
Is that impressive? I guess if you're Arkansas, it's impressive.
They covered the spread against them, so that's a thing.
They did. Actually, yeah, they beat them by a handy amount, so, okay. The next one here, we both like Texas State straight up against Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern still, last checked, is a 2-point favorite. You actually have the Bobcats by more than I do. This qualifies. This has enough margin. This is the only wrong team favored play of the week. We had none last week. But I've grabbed this. I think I also did a little money line play as well on Texas State.
Yeah, actually, I'm seeing this game and then UL Monroe versus Southern Miss. UL Monroe is getting 2.5. Texas State is getting 2. So you could do a 2-team UL Monroe and Texas State teaser to tease them to 8 and 8.5. It's like, okay, with maybe Southern Miss can beat UL Monroe, but can they beat them by a touchdown? Be like, no.
Are you? Is that like your Southern Miss special there?
No, that sounds insane.
Or your Sunbelt special. Pardon me.
Anything could happen in that game. Literally, like UL Monroe versus Southern Miss. That game should, like, if this was the EPL, that'd be a relegation game. So no, we're not touching that.
That's very well said. Yeah, it would be. I kind of want to make a snarky comment that even I wouldn't watch that game, but you know what? I definitely would. I absolutely would.
You put that on a Wednesday night. Wednesday night,
yep.
10:00 at night. I'd watch that. Yeah. I'd be.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. This next one I talked about at the beginning of this part 2. I love Utah State. I don't remember if I got 1.5. That's what it was. It didn't open, but it was that on Sunday night. We talked about that. You've got dead team walking, and the market doesn't understand that they're dead team walking unless I'm just, the other thing too is I've mentioned this a couple times that my model has irrational love for Utah State, and they keep on confirming my model's belief in them for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if you even saw this as a play. I forget.
I
I'm
see it as a
getting old.
play. Yeah, I'll take Utah State there. Just as a kind of just an like I've seen San Diego State do some horrible things, specifically against in that Nevada game. So I'll gladly bet against them.
You're talking like you're back from the war in Europe. I've seen them do some horrible things, and
I mean, it was what 6-0. All San Diego State
yeah,
was against Nevada. All they had to do was score a touchdown, and they just were
yeah,
physically incapable of it. It was either a forward like I'm still awestruck by what I saw. It was either a forward pass or a forward fumble. I don't know which one it was. Maybe it was both. I don't know. But whatever it was, it looked horrible, and it was right to like a linebacker. So it was
yeah.
like he was like this. Like he literally lunged the ball forward into a linebacker. I
It was kind of a ball vomit thing where he just
yeah.
kind of barfed it up. Yeah, no, it was yeah.
So yeah, -2.5. Yeah, sure. Sign me up for that. That sounds fun.
Okay. Yeah.
This one.
I guess we're just going to hold hands and jump off the cliff together on Mario. That's the only way you can characterize this next one.
Look, I did that last week, and that did not end well. I'm done. I don't know if this is. I don't know if.
Yeah. But you did it. You did it. It wasn't a dual model play. So shame on you.
I went in alone. I don't understand why this is happening. Like
there's no ascribing logic or reason to two things: terrorists and what Mario's teams do.
Yeah,
it's just you can't.
I don't understand like how this team beats Clemson, gets destroyed by North. Like I think no, there's a different order. I think they played North Carolina first, lost North Carolina, got destroyed by North Carolina, beat Clemson, then barely beats Virginia in overtime. And
you're forgetting too, just the meltdown against Georgia Tech.
That's right. Yeah, they melted down against Georgia. Like I don't understand this team. I'm assuming this is them penciling something like that in because it's at NC State. I have no idea how NC State even beat Clemson. That also doesn't make sense to me at all. That shouldn't have happened either. But like, because that spread was 10, and I'm like, that seems way too short. I'm not touching that. And now this spread also seems way too short, so I'm not touching that either. So,
it seems short. Yeah. Your model has it a 31-point game. What do you mean it seems short?
I mean, Miami.
Not to be a jerk here, but come on.
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. It should be a 31-point game. Like, let's be honest here. And you have us at 12. Like, they should be winning this game by multiple scores. Why is it -4? Something's wrong here.
Oh, we know what's wrong. It's just a matter of, like, I don't know. You're the stats guy. I'm just a self-taught
So, like,
math
this
nerd.
Is going to be like Miami goes up to, like, a 28. Like, they're going to get a 28-point lead and then somehow blow it all. Like,
yeah. It's not just the standard deviations. It's the standard deviations and the frequency of the deviations, too. That just, you just kind of hope that they hold it together for not even 4 quarters, because that's pretty much impossible unless they're playing Jimbo, which makes sense. It's an evil twin to USC's offense against the defense, where you just hope that the offense goes out to a big enough lead that the defense can't blow at some point when things start to go a little wrong for the offense. Mm-hmm. Although that's the other thing too, is you don't know. Miami is so well balanced that like any unit can break at any point in time. They're very flexible in that way. All right, finally, this has gone down a lot. It's at 51 now, but I actually. Yeah, I got 51. It's still a play for me. I guess technically, I don't know. We'll call it a dual model play because it was 53.5 on Sunday night. I didn't get that number. I'm still playing it. Just for me, it's still a play because you've got the elite defense here at UCLA, and if that margin is above 5, it's a play. So there's plenty of cushion there. Not a coincidence that this number's come down quite a bit. So. So you've got the bold ones or the dual model plays. If it's not bold, that's just my model. And that leaves, Robert, what are you going to play? or make your
Yeah.
plays this week.
Oh, my plays, yeah. Actually, I was gonna say I'll put in on the UCLA. Maybe the books seem to be a little too high on their offense, or rather a bit too low on their defense to let in too many points. I think I kind of like their unders. Okay, so my plays this week. Let's do. 1 second. Let me see. Where is? Okay. I will say that the model was actually the model last week was because the Boise State one I didn't take it, but the model was right to agree with the books of Wyoming for Boise State. Now apparently the model and the books think Boise State's good because they're having them within 3 of Fresno, so that's kind of weird. But anyways, for my plays, yeah, I don't think it's a combined model play, but I'm going to take SMU minus 12 versus Rice. I really like that.
You didn't even listen to the deeper dive, did you? You failed. I'm gonna make you start repeating back the deeper dive as I do like each point. I'm gonna call on you in class. Okay.
Yes.
SMU giving 12?
Yeah. And then let's see what else here. Oh yeah, give me New Mexico State minus 3 against Middle Tennessee. And then
yeah, I like that. There's some margin there, just not enough for me to play. And Middle Tennessee State gets a little. They're a high variance team too.
They are. And then where was Liberty? Liberty minus 17 is the spread. What do I have Liberty? Yeah, I think I played this one already. Yeah, give me Liberty minus 17. I got the minus 28.5. They're doing the Liberty special here. Yeah.
I was trying to pull up my spreadsheet. Minus 17.
We can't escape Maction or Kuzaction. We're back on Kuzaction. 2 of my 3 plays are Kuzaction plays.
That's the best sign.
Yeah.
Right? No.
I mean, we like legitimately we dominated Kuzaction. Like legitimately. There was weeks that I didn't lose a bet until Friday. Like it was nuts. So I'm sad to see that go.
Good.
And
I
literally
am too.
today,
I am too.
Literally today, I searched CUSA expansion. I'm like, I want more teams. I want more games. When is this happening?
They do pick up. They do pick up Kennesaw State, and I forget who else they. Is it just one team next season? Because I think they have an odd number of teams. Yeah.
Currently, it's 9. They're going to get up to 10, and apparently they want to expand to 12. They're looking at a couple of FCS teams to get to 12. So like we're gonna send a letter, be like, more. We need more teams, more Kuzaction, more games on weekday nights. Let's do this. You have to do this.
I think one of those is actually Eastern Kentucky, if I remember correctly. I think that they were trying to get
Kentucky,
an FBS.
Missouri State, Tarleton State. They're looking at a couple of, but yeah,
Tarleton State I've heard of too. Yeah. They
Mm-hmm.
were trying to get up as well. Yeah. So okay, got you for SMU, but you get an F for the deeper dive. Not that you were looking for a grade there. New Mexico State and Liberty. 3 favorites. Okay. Anything else? Or is that a wrap for part 2?
Yeah, that's it for me. I think we will we'll see you next week. As we get we've got some good games next week. I think we have we're drawing closer to American Thanksgiving, and everybody knows what that means. So
All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Good luck to you all. Robert, I'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week.